Before you even open Photoshop, you are going to need to use the tripod and the camera, and you're going to need to take a series of photos. You're going to want to set it so that when you hold down the shutter button, that it takes a set of continuous photos. And when you take them, you don't want to move the camera. You want to keep the camera still so that the background stays the same on each one. Okay? The only thing that moves is the subject. Now, you can set up your subject to walk, like I set up mine. You can set them up to run, to do cartwheels, to do somersaults. It's up to you, as long as it's something safe. Okay. You'll also want to make sure that you have people out of the way. Notice that I did not. I have somebody in the background here. And you want to make sure also that when you shoot that your subject is close enough to where you can see them, but also far enough away to where you're not cutting off their head or their feet in the photo. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is apply a layer mask. And basically what a layer mask is going to do is it's going to use different values of black, white, and gray to assign transparency to specific places in the image or the layer, so that you can see through and see the layers underneath. Some people might want to use or think that they should use selection tools here and just cut and paste to one layer. But layer masks add a different level of selection to it. Okay, so we're definitely using the layer mask here. So what you'll want to do is you'll actually need to start, it's okay, it doesn't really matter which layer you start on. Just remember that if you start on the bottom layer, then you'll want to turn off all the layers above it so that this is the only one that you see. We'll leave the background layer as is. Okay? So when we start on this layer, we're going to use our layers panel and we're going to add a layer mask. And you can see right now that the layer mask is white. However, if we come in here with the brush tool, we can, and I can make it really big for this areas around here, I can, paint it black. And what that's going to do is it's more or less going to make the areas that are black see-through. So you see that right here I can see his sleeve underneath. Okay, and so I can get all the big areas around him with a big brush before I go in and do the fine detail work here. Now, once you do need to go in for the detail work, you'll want to put your brush down small to a small size, and you'll probably want to zoom in some. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more, make it easier to see, and I'm also going to hide the layer behind it just so that I can see exactly what I'm doing. And basically what it looks like when I paint is it looks like I am just erasing. Okay, I'm not erasing though. You can see here that the image is still here. All I'm doing is putting a layer mask, which is hiding parts of the layer. So where I paint black, or with black rather, that's making it transparent or see-through. If I accidentally paint on him too much, I can flip it and get white and fix it that way. So go ahead and press pause and come back when you have finished this layer. So now that I've finished applying the layer mask to this layer, I can turn back on that background layer and you can see the progression here. Okay, so I have two layers and you can only see the photo of him in the one. Now you're going to go through these steps with the remainder of your photos. Notice that I have 10 and you should have 10 as well. That's going to give you the best results here. You can press pause on the video until you get the rest of these images or the rest of these layers with a layer mask applied and made transparent like these. Okay, so go ahead and continue on and come back for the finishing steps when you're done. All right, now I've got layer masks applied to each and every layer. You are going to want to go in and carefully do your layer masks. You can see that I was a little bit sloppy trying to hurry and fit all of this into one video. So remember that your grade neatness does affect your grade. Okay. Now, when we look at this, I ran into a problem and I probably should have reshot this to make it work. You can see that all of the instances of my person walking all are over here along the left hand side and they're kind of smushed together. If I had zoomed in or if I had cropped that, maybe it would make it work better. However, I can also go in and I can move some people around a little bit to spread it out. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with the top layer. And I'm going to use my Shift key and the arrows on my keyboard so that I keep it in alignment. Remember that if I use my mouse, it may move it up or down a little bit and not just left or right. So I am going to go ahead and move him all the way back to the edge there. And be careful when you do this. You don't want to click on just the image or just the layer mask. You need to click on the entire layer. So if you see something funny happen, chances are you moved it. You moved either the mask or just the image. And I can move him over a little bit. And we want to be able to see them spread out some. Okay, and now you can see that mine are getting a little bit too close. So I'm actually going to, even though my bottom layer is way back here, I'm going to move some of these to in front of him. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and this one here, there we go. This one here. Oh, this one here is not cooperating. It's the image moving and not the, let's try centering it. There we go. See how I had to move my layer mask? For some reason, it did not move with the person. So now I am going to, let me turn these back on. Now let me see if I can move. There we go. Now the whole him and the layer mask are moving. No, they're not. Just the layer mask is moving. Okay, I'm going to disable that one for now and I'm going to come back to it. All right, so then my fourth one is right about there. Okay, so now we can see the background here. So I know these bottom four, these are all going to go to the front of my original. So I'll go there. And spread them out a little bit, and I'll still be able to crop in the end. Okay, now I'm gonna press pause and see why mine's not cooperating there, and I will be right back. Okay, now I see what happened though. See this little link here? For some reason I must have clicked on it and didn't realize, and I deleted it. Okay, so I put the link back on. Now I can move my person, and I'll go ahead and move him all the way to the front since that's where the remaining spot is. Okay, and I can also see, oops, I held on to shift a little too long. I can also see that I missed some spot around the edge, so I can zoom out a little bit, and I can get my brush. Oops. Let me try that again. There we go. All right, now they're spread out. Okay. Now, the only thing with this is I'm going to go ahead and crop this a little bit. Whoops. There we go. All right, so after I crop this, when I look at this, I want to make some of the layers opaque. And when I say opaque, I want them to have some opacity to them. So if I start at the back, and let's see, I have, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers until I get to the original. Okay, so what I want is I want to go ahead and I'm going to start this one at 50%. And then this one I'm going to make 65. This one here, 80. And then this one, nope, that's not the right one because that one got moved. Let me move this one all the way over here. There we go. This one here then is going to be 95. Okay, so he's fading in as he gets to the original. Now, the original is going to stay at 100, and then after that, I'm going to start fading them out again. Now, you're fading your opacity. You are going to hopefully have yours in a better sequence than mine is, but you can do it from all the way to the back where it's faded out, and then the background layer has to stay at 100%, okay, because that's where the background is as well. So now this one I'm going to go ahead and do 95. I'm just going to go in reverse, and 80 and 65. Oh, I put 95. That's why it looks different. 65, 50, and then the front one will be 35. Notice I did it in increments of 15. That's not a magic number. I just decided that that's what I would do. All right, so here you have your layer mask. You do want to save it obviously as a Photoshop file first so that you can arrange the background layers as needed. And then when you have completely finished, you will save as a JPEG file to go up on your Google site. Oops, I obviously didn't choose JPEG. There we go. And there you have it.